This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes, creators of the world's best repair manuals. Fix your car or truck the right way with our accurate and reliable information at your side. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete online manual at Haynes.com.
Thermostat replacement. Pull the hood release lever located on the driver's side kick panel. Lift the hood safety latch and raise the hood upwards. Support the hood with a prop rod. Loosen and remove the cable nut from the remote battery ground terminal, then disconnect the remote negative battery cable. Secure the cable aside to prevent accidental reconnection. Wrapping electrical tape around the exposed cable end is also a good idea while work is being commenced. Apply the handbrake. Chock the rear wheels to prevent the vehicle from rolling. Loosen the front wheel lug nuts, then raise the front of the car and support it on jack stands. Cooling system draining. Set the heater temperature control to the maximum heat position. With the engine completely cool, remove the expansion tank cap. Move a large container capable of holding at least 12 quarts under the radiator drain fitting to catch the coolant mixture as it is drained. Open the drain fitting located at the bottom of the radiator. Allow the coolant to completely drain out. Once the flow of coolant has stopped, tighten the radiator drain plug securely. Dispose of the used coolant properly. For the removal of the main drive belt, which operates the AC compressor and alternator, loosen the tensioner pivot and adjustment bolts. Rotate the tensioner until the belt is loose on the pulleys, then slip the belt off of the pulleys and out of the fender well. Disconnect the air conditioning high pressure switch connector. Unscrew the nut and disconnect the battery positive cable from the alternator. Disconnect the alternator electrical connector. Remove the alternator lower mounting bolt, then remove the upper mounting bolts. Rotate or reposition the alternator to access the AC compressor clutch electrical connector. Disconnect the AC clutch connector, then reposition the wiring harness as necessary. Remove the engine oil dipstick, then remove the dipstick tube. Carefully maneuver the alternator out of the engine. Loosen the hose clamps, then disconnect the two coolant hoses from the thermostat housing cover. Note that it may be easier to disconnect the lower coolant hose once the thermostat cover has been unbolted and repositioned to gain easier access to the hose and clamp. Remove the 3 thermostat housing mounting bolts, then pull off the housing from the engine. If not already done, disconnect the lower hose from the thermostat housing. Note how the thermostat is installed. The jiggle valve should be at the 12 o'clock position. Remove the thermostat from the housing. Remove all traces of sealant from the mating surfaces with a gasket scraper. Making sure a new special gasket is installed onto the thermostat in the correct orientation. Install the thermostat into the housing with the jiggle valve at the 12 o'clock position. Install the thermostat housing, complete with the thermostat, onto the engine. Tighten the thermostat housing bolts to the specified torque setting. Reattach the hoses to the thermostat housing cover. Secure the hoses with the hose clamps. Install the alternator into the engine and near its mounting bracket. Position the alternator slightly aside to allow the AC compressor clutch electrical connector to be connected. Position the alternator to align the mounting holes and install the alternator upper and lower mounting bolts. Install the dipstick tube and tighten the retaining bolt securely. Connect the air conditioning high pressure switch electrical connector. Connect the alternator electrical connector, then connect the battery positive cable onto the stud and screw on the nut. Tighten the nut securely, then push on the protective cover. Insert the engine oil dipstick. Tighten the alternator upper and lower mounting bolt securely. Install the power steering pump drive belt, making sure it fits evenly into the pulley grooves. With the adjustment bolt loose, apply tension to the belt by rotating the tensioner with a 1/2-inch square drive, then tighten the adjustment bolt when sufficient belt tension has been reached. Install the main drive belt in the correct routing among the pulleys, making sure it fits evenly into the pulley grooves. With the adjustment and pivot bolts loose, apply tension to the belt by rotating the tensioner with a 1/2-inch square drive, then tighten the adjustment bolt when sufficient belt tension has been reached, followed by the pivot bolt. The tension of each belt is checked by pushing on it at a distance halfway between the pulleys. Apply about 10 pounds of force with your thumb and see how much the belt moves down or deflects. Measure the deflection with a ruler. The belt should deflect about a 1/4 inch if the distance between pulleys is between 7 to 11 inches and around a 1/2 inch if the distance is between 12 to 16 inches. Connect the remote negative battery cable to the stud terminal on the body. Screw on the cable securing nut and tighten the nut securely. Install the right front wheel and lug nuts. Lower the car to the ground and tighten the wheel lug nuts to the specified torque setting. Connect the remote negative battery cable to the stud terminal on the body. Screw on the cable securing nut and tighten the nut securely. Cooling system filling. Before filling the cooling system, loosen the coolant bleed valve. It is a good idea to attach a length of 1/4 inch inner diameter hose, preferably clear hose to view the flow of coolant, to the bleed valve fitting and direct it into a container. This will prevent coolant from bubbling out and spilling on the drive belts. Using a pair of locking pliers without teeth to avoid damaging the hose, clamp off the hose that connects to the expansion tank filler neck. Using a special funnel that creates a seal on the filler neck, fill the expansion tank completely until the coolant reaches the top of the filler neck. Continue filling with coolant until the level is slightly above the expansion tank and rises into the sealed funnel. Do this until a steady stream of coolant flows out of the hose connected to the bleed valve. While coolant is flowing from the bleed valve hose, tighten the valve completely and remove the hose. Remove the locking pliers from the overflow hose, then allow the remaining coolant in the funnel to drain into the expansion tank. Remove the funnel, then install the expansion tank cap securely. Start the engine and run it in a well-ventilated area until the thermostat opens. Coolant will begin flowing through the radiator and the upper radiator hose will become hot. Turn off the engine and let it cool down completely. With the engine cold, slowly remove the expansion tank cap and recheck the coolant level, adding more as necessary to bring the level up to the cold fill max line. Install the expansion tank cap.